The alien soldiers, towering and formidable, stood ready for their mission. They belonged to a species feared and respected across the galaxy for their prowess in war. Their reputation was one of unmatched strategy and strength, bred for combat and victorious in countless battles. This time, however, their mission seemed almost beneath them. They had been dispatched to deal with humans, a species they viewed as primitive, undeveloped, and unworthy of serious concern. Their briefing had been brief and dismissive. The humans were described as savages, struggling with outdated tactics and crude weapons. Nothing in the intelligence reports suggested that the battle ahead would be more than routine. "Humans," one soldier scoffed, his voice dripping with contempt. "Why even bother sending us? A single drone could wipe them out." The commander, though more experienced, offered no disagreement. Confidence was woven into their very nature. They had conquered countless worlds before, and now they would add humanity to their long list of defeated species. To them, this was just another mission, a quick strike against a lesser opponent. As their craft descended toward the battlefield, the alien soldiers caught their first glimpse of the human forces below. The planet's surface was rugged, full of jagged cliffs and dense foliage, the kind of terrain that would have hindered any normal army. But not them. With their superior technology, they could traverse it effortlessly. They scanned the human soldiers with their advanced optics, noting the crude patchwork armor, the seemingly outdated firearms, and the erratic movements of the humans. "Pathetic," another soldier sneered, adjusting his weapon with casual ease. "They don't even know how to defend themselves." The others chuckled in agreement. From their vantage point, the humans were a far cry from the disciplined, well-drilled warriors of their own kind. The humans moved with an odd, almost chaotic fluidity, breaking into smaller groups, using cover erratically, and seemingly improvising their movements. To the aliens, it looked like panic. The humans appeared to be reacting out of fear, rather than following any kind of organized strategy. Their crude armor glinted under the dull light of the alien sun, reinforcing the soldiers' belief that this would be over quickly. "We'll be done here in no time," one of the alien soldiers muttered, preparing to engage. "Let's show these savages what real warriors look like." The alien soldiers dropped into position, their confidence radiating through their every movement. They fired the first shots, their weapons slicing through the air with deadly precision. Human soldiers scattered, diving behind cover and returning fire in short bursts. It was clear, even to the aliens, that the humans lacked the advanced energy weapons their own army carried. The humans' projectiles seemed laughably primitive, bouncing off the aliens' armor without causing any real damage. The aliens regrouped, determined to end the human resistance in one decisive strike. Their commanders organized a larger, coordinated attack, with overwhelming numbers and firepower meant to crush any remaining hope of human survival. This was supposed to be quick, clean, and absolute. The alien forces advanced, their precision and technological superiority in full display as they moved in flawless formation. They were ready to obliterate the humans once and for all. But the humans didn't meet them head-on. Instead, they scattered. Small units broke away, disappearing into the rugged terrain. It wasn't retreat, it was something else. The alien soldiers found themselves facing an enemy that didn't fight like any they had faced before. Human soldiers used the terrain in ways that baffled the aliens. They set traps, launched ambushes from cover, and moved through the landscape with a fluidity that made it impossible to predict their next move. What the aliens had first mistaken for disorganization was now proving to be a deliberate, well-adapted strategy. The humans were no longer simply reacting. They were outmaneuvering the aliens. The alien soldiers, trained to rely on brute force and superior technology, found themselves struggling against an enemy that was unpredictable, constantly shifting tactics to exploit any weakness. "This makes no sense," one alien soldier muttered, scanning the horizon for the next ambush. "They should be crumbling by now. How are they doing this?" The longer the battle dragged on, the more the alien soldiers began to falter. Their coordinated strikes turned into fragmented skirmishes as human resistance became increasingly difficult to pin down. Time passed, and exhaustion crept in. The alien soldiers, conditioned to expect short, decisive encounters, were unprepared for the humans' relentless endurance. The humans didn't just fight, they survived. Even when their numbers thinned, even when they were outgunned, they kept coming. Injured soldiers still fought with the same intensity, as if their bodies could ignore pain and fatigue. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, now faced an enemy they couldn't understand. Their sophisticated technology, their years of training, suddenly felt meaningless against the humans' sheer willpower. "We've lost contact with our forward units," a soldier reported, sweat beading on his brow despite the cool armor surrounding him. "The humans are still engaging us. They should have surrendered by now." But the humans didn't surrender. They never did. On the battlefield, an alien soldier came face to face with a human. The human was bleeding heavily, his body battered from the relentless combat. By all accounts, he should have been on the ground, defeated. But as the alien soldier raised his weapon to finish the fight, the human lunged forward, eyes burning with an intensity the alien had never seen before. But as the skirmish continued, something unexpected happened. The humans didn't retreat. They didn't surrender. Despite being outgunned and outmatched, they fought back with a tenacity that began to unsettle the alien soldiers. One by one, the aliens started to realize that the humans, despite their obvious disadvantages, were not backing down. In fact, they were adapting. The humans used the terrain to their advantage, moving quickly, splitting into smaller groups, and coordinating their movements in ways that weren't immediately obvious but were undeniably effective. A moment of hesitation crept into the minds of the alien soldiers. Their initial assault, which should have wiped out the human resistance in minutes, had met far more resistance than they had anticipated. "What's wrong with them?" One alien soldier growled, firing another round into the mass of human fighters. "They should have given up by now." The commander, watching from a distance, narrowed his eyes. His soldiers were still confident, still certain of their inevitable victory. But he saw something they didn't. The humans weren't fighting out of desperation. They were fighting with purpose. It was subtle, but there was something in the way they moved, the way they communicated without speaking. The humans' tactics weren't disorganized, they were flexible. And that flexibility was allowing them to survive far longer than anyone had expected. "There's something about them," the commander muttered, his voice low enough that only the nearest soldier heard him. "They don't fight like the others." "What do you mean, Commander?" the soldier asked, his voice tinged with amusement. "They're just humans. Weak, unorganized, barely more than animals." The commander shook his head. "No, this is different. Don't underestimate them." But his warning fell on deaf ears. The alien soldiers were too deep in their belief that they were unbeatable, too wrapped up in their own superiority. To them, the humans were nothing more than an inconvenience, an obstacle to be removed on their path to galactic conquest. Their technology, their training, their very existence made them feel untouchable. Yet, as the skirmish dragged on, the humans kept coming. Each wave of resistance seemed stronger than the last, as though they were learning, adapting to the tactics the aliens had drilled for years. The aliens, so used to crushing their enemies with overwhelming force, began to feel a flicker of doubt, a sensation they were unfamiliar with, one that unsettled them in ways they couldn't yet understand. The commander's gaze remained fixed on the battlefield, his expression grim. He had fought in countless wars, and something about this fight felt different. The humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability in war was dangerous. "Mark my words," he said quietly to himself, "these humans are not what we expected." Despite his injuries, despite the overwhelming odds, the human kept fighting, driven by something far beyond physical strength. "What is this?" the alien thought, stunned, as the human soldier refused to back down even as his life hung by a thread. How can they keep going? The human's sheer willpower defied everything the alien understood about warfare. It wasn't just strategy or tactics that made them dangerous, it was something deeper. They fought with an indomitable will, as though survival wasn't just a matter of winning or losing, but a core instinct. The alien soldier, rattled by the encounter, realized something unsettling. Human strength didn't lie in their weapons or their technology. It was their refusal to break, to give up, to accept defeat, even in the face of impossible odds. The thought gnawed at him, turning admiration into a quiet, growing fear. "They don't stop. the alien whispered to himself, the weight of the realization settling in. It's like they don't know how. The turning point came when the alien soldiers, weary and frustrated, began to lose control of the battlefield. Their superior weaponry and armor, once thought to guarantee their victory, were no longer enough. The humans wouldn't stop. They kept pushing forward, their numbers small, but their presence overwhelming. For every alien soldier who expected a clear victory, there was now only confusion. How could a species so underdeveloped, so far behind in technological advancement, fight with such power? The commander's earlier warning rang through the minds of the alien soldiers now retreating. These humans, they weren't like the others. They were something far more dangerous. The final blow came when the alien commander, the architect of their invasion, fell to the ground, defeated not by superior technology or a tactical error, but by the very thing he had underestimated the most, humanity's unyielding spirit. As the commander's vision dimmed, he realized too late what he had failed to see. The humans weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for something deeper, something no alien race could understand or conquer. The remaining alien forces, disorganized and demoralized, began their retreat. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they had been defeated, not by a superior army, but by an unstoppable will. As the humans stood victorious on the battlefield, they knew this was more than just a single victory. It was a message to the galaxy. Humanity was a force unlike any other. They would fight not just to survive, but to thrive, no matter the cost.